Hello, everyone. I'm Jim Reisman. I'm from Nisi Optics USA. Thank you for joining us for this webinar. And we will get started soon. Um, we are still awaiting the arrival of Mr. Kordan, I have to say. Uh, he is uh, he is chiming in all the way from Bali, Indonesia. And we have some messages out to him, and we're hoping that we'll have a webinar tonight. This is uh, things have a way of working out, so I'm confident that things will work out. If not, I will. Well, I don't know. We'll figure something out. Um, I do wanted to let you know that Nisi is um, a very proud sponsor of Daniel and his workshop group. Um, and we are we are establishing him as an ambassador and as an affiliate. And for the people who are jo- joining us that are followers of Daniel, um, you will be able to obtain Nisi gear directly through him, and I'm sure he'll be doing some specials with us when he's doing a webinar, or I'm sorry, when he's doing a workshop. And I would definitely stay in tune about that. So I, as far as anyone that's viewing this, and let me go into chat here real quick. As far as anyone that's viewing this, please do me a favor and keep your microphones off. Your cameras on are fine, but your microphone off, please, so we don't have any errant noise. And maybe we can hear from everyone about where you're chiming in from today. From Honolulu, thank you very much, Sergio. Thank you. Houston, Alaska. I've never heard Houston, Alaska. That's interesting. British Columbia, Alaska, Canada. Two Alaskas all of a sudden. Seattle. Hi there. Rescue, California. I say that all the time. Indianapolis, Santa Barbara, Nova Scotia, Crossville, Tennessee, Danville, California. So I might mention this. I might mention that I do know that it's 7 a.m. In Bali, which was is supposed to not be an issue at all, but maybe the alarm clock didn't go off, or he's in Bali, Indonesia. It might be an internet situation. I'm going to actually mute my camera. I'm mute myself and turn off my camera for a minute and just get on a messaging app real quick, and I'll be right back to you. Hello again. So, um, I'm just waiting for a quick answer back from Daniel's agent. Bear with me for a minute. I guess, when someone throws a lemon at you, you want to start making lemonade. So I'm going to invite you while we hopefully I've got several people on board trying to reach Daniel now. But if anyone has any questions about us, our product, about photography, personally, I'm a photographer for blah, blah, blah plus years, literally more than 50 years. And I'm happy to answer anything that I can for any of you. And all you need to do is just turn your mic on and ask me a question.
Motion detected at side.
We I'm having a Mitch McConnell moment. I hope you guys don't mind.
I have
Anyway,
something I'd like to ask. I mean, it's kind of silly, actually. I'm totally
right.
new, and I just received my kit the other day, so I was really excited to get it. And one of the things that I noticed right away, and I was like, "Oh," so I always stuff my camera in a camera bag, and that little tiny screw that is meant to navigate, kind of move the 1 to 5
Mhm.
filter. Um, I see myself needing to take that off, and suddenly I'm like, I think I've already lost it, and I wonder if there's something, like, you know, obviously I'll be taking off and putting it back on, but I don't think that was kind of the use case. It's kind of
It is
maybe thought.
use case, actually. What we were trying to do is we were trying to meet the needs of anyone that might want to use the VND. So we made the screw-in lever. And by the way, just because there are a bunch of people here, so I'll explain what the question is. We make a variable ND filter, and it rotates 90 degrees from one stop to 5 stops neutral density. And we include a screw-in peg that gives someone something to hold on to so that they don't have to grab the ring and turn the VND via using the ring. And that's a screw-in little peg. They are, unfortunately, they are quite easy to lose. That is one of the reasons we give the pouches with the filters, so that if you do take the pin off, you can drop it in the pouch and hopefully it stays in the pouch. They are replaceable. We do have replacements for them. But
We also
Yeah.
include a spare one in the case that it comes with as well. So you get two when you first buy one.
Oh,
so
I saw one. I didn't see two. And, I guess my thought was, if it had a little lower profile, if it was shaped more like a hill, like a triangle goes up on one side, it would accomplish the same thing with a slower profile. But anyway, I've only owned it for 5 seconds. So I love it. I love the filters. I went out and I made some shots with them last night and I was playing with the black mist. I thought that was really awesome. So I'm looking forward to using them in the field, but that was like the first little thing that I thought, oh,
Yeah. Yeah, it's just something you need to keep track of. And
yeah.
I join on this call as well with me is Andrew, who is based in Sydney, which is our main office. So he might pop in as well while we're having these chats with you. So I does I hope that's a satisfactory answer for you.
Yeah, it is actually, and I appreciate it. I just wanted to kind of break the ice. It's a silly little thing, and obviously, just keeping track of it is the key. Um,
Well,
but anyway,
I want to let everyone know this just in. Daniel is on board. Um, we're so close to daylight savings time. And like, for example, we're still on daylight savings time. My counterpart in Australia is already on standard time. And I guess Daniel got confused for daylight savings time and standard time. So until that goes away, I guess we're going to have these confusions around November and around springtime as well. So guys, thank you very much. We're just hanging there for another minute. But of course, again, please, any questions you guys have, I'm happy to answer questions because I can't think things up on my own. I can answer questions better than I can think of things to say. Although what I will say is that should you happen to go to the NISI website, nisiopticsusa.com, you will find that there will be gifts waiting for you if you make a purchase. We have a a gift program going on, so many of the products that you might want to buy anyway, if you buy them from our website, there'll be a little extra something in there for you in many cases. So that's one benefit. We're also involved with a very large network of camera stores across the United States and in Canada now. And so a lot of your local camera stores, which I hope you go and visit every once in a while, you'll be seeing Nisi in there as well. And all of their staff are being trained on our products and what the benefits of them are. So uh, please take the opportunity to look at what we have to offer. A month can't go by without us having something new to offer you guys. Also, Nisi Optics USA is also the distributor of two other brands. We are now representing a company called Silence Corner, which is making the very popular rotating bracket that goes on your tripod, allows you to mount your camera body to the tripod and rotate it, rotate it 360 degrees, but with stops at horizontal and at vertical, portrait or landscape. And you can change lenses as you use the item. So therefore, there's no removing the camera from the tripod when you rotate from landscape to portrait. And you can continue to change lenses. And that's called the ATOL, the ATOLL. So that's on silencecornerusa.com. And we also make a very fine line of tripods called Explorer Photo and Video. And if you're looking to get a very high quality tripod that's an outstanding value, but also a very professionally robust and steady and quality tripod, we have the Explorer Photo and Video line as well. So there's that.
Hello, my name is Ron.
Hi,
and
Rob.
I'm located in Illinois, so I'm going to be about 3 hours away from the solar eclipse in April of 2024,
Yes.
and am wanting to find out if there are any suggestions on obtaining that, as you would want to use possibly multiple filters depending on the sunlight for that, or if anybody has any experience with that.
Well, we make a solar filter. We make a filter that was specifically for the eclipse. First of all, uh, conventional wisdom might say, well, just stack a bunch of neutral density filters together until you get to, 15 or 20 stops. Um, Not saying that will work or won't work. It probably will work. But the benefit of our solar filter is that it's 16.6 stops, which is what the Astronomical Association, I'm sorry, the American Astronomical Society recommends as a density that's optimal for shooting the sun. And we've taken the precaution of adding IR cut and an additional UV protection to it as well. So that filter is available in sizes 60, I'm sorry, 77, 82, and 95. And then, of course, you can adapt it with step rings as needed. But that's the ideal filter for solar photography, and we have them available. We obviously stocked up in advance of the eclipse that happened in October, couple, last week, I guess. And of course, we will maintain stock on them going forward, and obviously build our inventory of them for the April event coming up. So those will be available from us directly as well as from all of our major dealers. And actually, just interestingly, I'll share with you guys that we also were contracted by B&H Photo to produce some additional sizes from them. So should you want a 58 millimeter, 67 millimeter, or 72 millimeter, we will have those on the B&H site as well. We also created for them specifically a 100 millimeter wide 16.6 solar filter for those of you that use 100 millimeter square filters, um, which are a definite benefit. So just seeing what the status of the guy that's on the
Um,
top.
Ron, this is Andrew from Nissi as well. The 16.6 stop is great when the sun is obviously fully when it's not covered. Basically, right up until the sun is fully covered. When the sun's fully covered, you may need a lighter ND filter or even a VND filter because the amount of light in the scene has dropped. So my suggestion is that you get a 16.6 solar filter for when the sun is bright and when it's not fully covered. But at that point where it's fully covered, which the April 2024 eclipse is going to do, it's going to fully cover the sun. You'll need a lower density ND filter for that moment.
Thank you.
No problems.
Right. So I did just get that.
Scott, did you have a question? Did I see a hand?
Will you please repeat where I can find the ball head that rotates from horizontal to vertical? Andrew, that's make sure that I have the URL correct. The URL is Silence
Yeah,
Corner.
I'll put a link in the chat.
Okay, Sarah, and you'll just confirm that you see that. I'm sorry, any other questions? I'm just, the last word I got is that he is going to be about 5 more minutes, and I was just responding. Thank you for getting back in touch with me.
This is Ron from Illinois again. I just do have one question. I actually had the opportunity to work with a professional photographer out in Maui by the name of Scott Reether. And I
Scott.
believe okay. Any progress on him becoming an ambassador for you?
Uh, I actually don't think he's ever specifically asked us to be an ambassador. I would, I'll contact him tomorrow. He is a reseller of our products, and we have a very, very good relationship with him. I know that he unfortunately had a setback because of the Lahaina fire. Um, and I know that he was just reestablishing everything that he was doing in Hawaii. So, but I will reach out to him. It'd be my pleasure to add him to our ambassadors list.
I had the pleasure of working with him for a day, October of 2022, and obviously, if the people who are familiar with his work it's phenomenal. Number one, but he is also an excellent teacher for anyone who gets the chance to go out to Maui. So I'll just put a little plug out there for that.
He's a super guy. He's a really, really super guy. So I'm not going to make anyone suffer any more than about another 7 minutes. If we have to reschedule, we reschedule. We've done about 30 webinars at least, and this is a real surprise for us. We've never really had this before, but can you replace the Velcro with magnets on the V7 filter case? The noise of opening the case is very loud when getting a filter out of the case. I would like to see that too. Yeah, my dog jumps every time I open up the case. Really not a bad idea. And by the way, when these ideas come up, there was I think it was Ron that mentioned about the VND filter in the little peg, and maybe that it could be like kind of a lower profile possible. We don't take these suggestions or these criticisms of our product. We don't take them and go, big deal. These are listened to. When you say something like that, I will be mentioning it to the powers that be and say customers love the V7 case except for the noise it makes when they try to open it. I mean, if we were doing landscape with some animals in there, you'd probably chase them off with that noise.
Mike, we also did try some magnets in a previous case as well. And we had the feedback that when the case was upside down, if the customer was jumping over rocks or something like that, and for some reason the case got twisted, the weight of all the filters was quite a lot, and the holder, and it would open the top of the case. So it's kind of a balance between how many magnets do we put in to make it so it's still lightweight and easy to carry, compared to how safe it is. And we decided Velcro was probably the better solution. But thank you for the feedback.
Yeah, my thought on that was like if you did the magnets with a button or like a twist to lock it of some way, right? So
Yeah,
you've got kind of a dual thing there going. Even if you left the Velcro there, but it had magnets as like the default, and then if you want the extra security, right, you're going to be jumping and going places, then maybe you use the Velcro. Kind of best of both worlds.
Daniel is here. Daniel joined as a guest. Did you see that?
Thanks for the feedback, Mike. Yes.
Hi guys. Hello, everyone. Sorry,
Hi,
I'm a bit
Daniel.
late, messed up the time. I thought it's 9 a.m. actually in Bali. It's morning here and late evening, I guess, in USA. So good I'm here.
Boy, am I glad to see you. Nice to meet you finally.
Yeah, nice to meet you all,
I'm
guys.
Jim. All right, so here we go. Look at this. 5 p.m. PST, 8 p.m. EST, and whatever the heck time it is in Bali.
Yeah, that's the 8:30 a.m. beautiful sunny day in Bali, start of the day.
Sure. Well, great to see you. Great to see you. Are you ready to roll?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. Guys, I'm gonna go have a drink. Is there a bar near here? I'm gonna go have a drink somewhere. No, I'll stay with you guys. I'll actually be here. If there are any questions that are fielded that are very product oriented, Andrew and I'll pipe in for that. But we're gonna let the artiste and photographer take the stage. So here you go. Enjoy.
Yeah, hello everyone. Hello, my friends. Again, sorry for being late. It's a bit of messed up with time. You never know what's the time on the other side of the planet. Yeah, so let's start anyway. So past 2 years, I was living here in Indonesia, pretty much exploring Asia, exploring Indonesia itself. It has over 17,000 islands. And well, you need a lifetime to explore all of them. And part of my talk will be devoted today of use of DC filters, of course. So thank you guys for inviting me. And of course, I will talk about the equipment I'm using, about techniques I'm using. So if you want to come to Indonesia or just want to know how to create all the seascapes, that you can listen to me today. And let's start, of course, with some beautiful photos. So I'll show not only just my face, but some face of Indonesia as well. Yeah. So I copied some images here. I will share the screen so you can see. I think, guys, Jim, Aaron, you need to give me a possibility also to share the screen, because right now it's locked. Yeah, so you need to open it so I can share my screen and show some photos from the past 2 years I was doing here. So yep, now it's open. So you can see, yeah, you can see the Lightroom screen here. And I'll show you some of the photos from past 2 years. Here we go. So probably let's start with, let's say, top 5 places of Indonesia to visit for the seascapes. And place number 1 for me, it's actually not Bali, because Bali, it's beautiful as a holiday destination, I'd say. Yeah, but many people heard about Bali. But my favorite place is this one. It's called Gigi Hiu in Sumatra. Yeah, it's Sumatra Island. Here, so a few images from Gigi Hiu. Like this one is quite iconic. Gigi Hiu from Indonesian, from Bahasa, it means shark's teeth. So you can see that's literally many beautiful rocks like a teeth piercing the ocean. And here is the classical sample of the long exposure. So this one I made on a 10-stop filter. So using 10-stop and the polarizer also to minimize reflections from the water. The idea here, this place is a bit hard to reach, I'd say. So you must arrive mostly from Jakarta by car. So a couple of times we arrived with my friends, with Gary and with Chandra from Indonesian photographers, very talented photographers. I arrived there from Jakarta or flying to Lampung by airplane. And from Lampung on Sumatra, already you drive the car about 5 or 6 hours, and you literally need to camp in front of these rocks. So there are no hotels, there's basically nothing there, just they built kind of house there kind of restaurant, but it's not functional. But still 5-6 hours you camp there, and then you're in front of this wild landscape with a lot of opportunities for photography. Like this shot also, it's this one, it's the same place, or this one. So literally you need also to know very well about the waves. Yeah, it's open ocean here. So I had a really bad accident myself this year in Lombok Island. So this I will talk about later. But at Lombok Island, I was literally washed away into the ocean by tsunami. And it was quite crazy because I thought actually I almost died there. It's a separate story I will tell you later. Yeah, but here it's definitely low tide. And as you know, for seascape photography, we really need to understand what tide it is. And in Indonesia, it's very sensitive. Like some places, like Savarna Beach here also, it's in Java Island in Indonesia. In low tide, it can be like that. Yeah, in high tide already, the water is coming and you can't even walk here to this place anymore. So you'll be like half body, maybe up to here in the water, and waves are so strong that they can just wash you away. So that's no joke in Indonesia. Like some tunnels here also, as you see, that's also from Gigi Hill, from Shark's Teeth Beach in Indonesia. So that's a tunnel. Basically, the water just washes you out of here. It's little bit crazy. So always in Indonesia, what we do, we secure ourselves using our partners, so using the local guide. So the local guides, I call them kind of angels. They're staying behind you, and they literally, if you can't see the wave, they literally grab you by the shoulders. They grab you from behind by backpack and drag you out of the place. Because when you're busy doing photography, you don't even like notice sometimes the big waves coming. Hard to realize, but local guides, they know when and which kind of wave is coming. Yeah, so even in low tide, I think is even in low tide, sometimes the big wave can come, like a swell wave, or and then you need to run, pretty much just run and hide. So that's how it worked with this place in particular. So as you see, pretty much my seascapes of Indonesia here, it's a mix of different exposures. From fast exposure, let's say this one is classical 1/4 of a second, 1/4, 1/5 of a second. Normally I don't shoot it slower, so let's say half a second. It's too slow for this kind of seascape. The water will be already blurred. Yeah, it will be like milkshake, let's say, like it will lose these beautiful textures of the threads of lines of the water. And this picture here, it's a 1 minute exposure. So 1 minute, maybe even more. I think if I save EXIF, no, not really. It's about 2 minutes here at sunrise. So here I was using also 10-stop filter, but at sunrise to create this kind of feel of the fog. Yeah, so that's classical picture. As you see, that's the same group of the rocks that you can see on the background, but made with a long exposure of 2 minutes. So 1/4 and 2 minutes. As you see, most of compositions, I'm trying to make the converging lines. So some compositions, of course, with long exposure, they're minimal. It's just a simple, like a group of rocks and the water like a fog. Yeah, and here the composition is different. It's converging lines, the lines of the rocks, the lines of the water that go to the background like that. And then just on the background, you have this group of different kinds of shark teeth here. Same idea here. So here, these are converging lines, lines that draw your eyesight within the frame, just leading into the mountain. All long exposure, yeah, long exposure here when all rocks, they kind of separated. So same story. This is 10-stop filter as well. And 10-stop, you have kind of fog here, and here is also 10-stop filter with a bit of foreground getting closer. And for the sunset or sunrise, here I use 3-stop filter. Most of the time I also use polarizer filter. Polarizer filter, as you see, the rocks, they have quite dark texture. So on this dark texture, it appears when you actually apply the polarizer, you turn it until you see minimum number of reflections. Yeah, so you see just the texture and the color of the rocks. So this is the idea. So this is Sumatra, this place number 1 I mentioned. Then the place number 2 is located in Java. You already had some sneak peek here on the places. So this is in Java as well. So no tides, no waves. But this is also Savarna. This is south coast of Java. So to this place, we go from Jakarta around 4 or 5 hours to get to this place. And there's also very sharp rocks, sharp teeth that basically waves crashing all over this teeth. And very dangerous place also, because you stay there and literally we are there with local guides. So many times the guides just grab us out because you can't see which wave incoming from the left side when you shoot, let's say, the sunset. So same story, a little bit wider angle. So this one actually shot on 70mm 24-70. Yeah, and this shot I made with 14-24. So this is the wider angle. So here I used a few other techniques, like one of the techniques is called wave blending. So I used 2 or 3 different exposures here. So one exposure was for the foreground, another exposure was for the waves crashing, and the third exposure was actually bracketing for the sky. So later on, we just take all these 3 shots together and just layer by layer, we make wave blending. So basically we take the foreground wave from one shot, we take the crashing wave from another, and the sky is a faster exposure underexposed. Yeah, so that's the idea. So using same position of the tripod, same angle, just waiting for the proper wave crashing and waiting for the proper wave on the foreground as well. Another shot here. So this is actually a single exposure here. So that's a single exposure, bit underexposed. The wave is crashing on a huge rock on the right side and then slowly going down like a veil over the rocks on the foreground. So again, just waiting for a proper moment. Most of the time, like here in Savarna, it's also low tide. So if you can see, let me go to open up a prepared also new window, and we'll share with you some information how I actually plan the waves. So I mentioned before that I go in low tide, let's say to Savarna or to Sumatra. And here we go. So low tide, let's say Waingapu, it's Sumba Island with dancing trees. This place I talk about later. But here you can use actually any tide forecast. So personally, I use just this one, the first in search. So today's times for Waingapu. Waingapu, it's some city in Sumba Island also that I use for dancing trees photography. And here you go, yeah, you can see that today tide is 3:20 a.m. Low tide, high tide is 9:26 a.m. So normally this tide is not suitable for Indonesia, let's say, because 3 hours after low tide, that's already the swell wave start to come. Yeah, so it's ideally, it's plus minus 1 hour around sunrise time. Yeah, so let's say today is not a suitable time to photograph this kind of seascapes. Yeah, you need to wait. And then how to plan it. Yeah, let's go to the chart here. So I hope you can see it well, yeah, on your screen. So sunrise, yeah, let's say we check the time here, and here sunrise is about 6:30 a.m. and p.m. accordingly. So here we go. Yes, this is the low tide, 5:45 a.m. So yeah, let's say starting 31st of October, that's possible to let's say even 30th of October, yeah, 5 a.m. It's still possible to shoot this kind of seascapes in low tide, yeah, at sunset and sunrise. So 5:30 p.m. low tide, as you can see, 0.6 meters. But ideally, it might be even the negative tide. Yeah, it's so sensitive, even sometimes 0.6, it's too much. Like among the seascapes that I show you, this kind of shot with the waves crashing over, or this kind of shot, it's actually minus 0.1. Yeah, so you need not only know about the low tide, but how low it is. So this is the thing. So a lot about planning here when we talk about photography in Indonesia. Yeah, so let's say this kind of tide here, 0.5 on 28th of October is 0.3. That's not a good day. Today or tomorrow, probably you'll be just washed away by a wave. So you need to be very careful with this tide. But on 31st October, 1st November, so probably a good time. So if you have time, come to Indonesia, guys, fly here, shoot some seascapes. But yeah, if not, then need to wait. And probably this kind of waves, they're happening about once or twice per month. Yeah, so just one chance or two chances maximum per month to have a very low tide. Very low, I mean 0.1, negative also minus 0.1, minus 0.3. So all of this you can see, you can actually see in the chart, in the tide chart like that. There are a few places, of course, that good in higher tides, but in Indonesia, pretty much most of the places. So I'm checking again all of the places, and most of them, they also in low tide. This shot, let's say, is also 1/4 of a second. It's a pretty much classical rule for me. This also was taken in Savarna in Java, the same place I mentioned, the place number 2 for seascapes. Yeah, it was taken in Savarna. There are many spots there. Another spot that is close to Savarna, it's this one. It's called like a little head rock, a classical one, but it has this kind of the terraces on the foreground. So you have like a broken mirror with reflections. It's a really amazing spot. So as you can see, again, the variety of photos, the variety of filters that I'm using. So here for this shot, I actually used the 6-stop filter. It was just around the sunset time here. So 6-stop. I achieved almost 1 minute of exposure here for this picture. For this picture, it's more dynamics. I used 1/4 of a second here for this picture. Again, wait until the wave will go down, basically run to the spot, take the picture, and then run back away, because again, the huge wave will crash over this place. Then the water is slowly going down with these waterfalls, and this is the proper moment to shoot. So there are 2 types of waves. One wave is incoming, and another wave is a receding wave. So of course, if you're familiar with the seascape, the most amazing wave normally is the receding wave when it goes back to the ocean, because then we have this kind of waterfalls, we have the smooth lines that go bend over the rocks, let's say. And here is the same. Yes, it's here is the same. The wave is going down.
Papa, how much is going to
Waves going down and crashing over the rocks. Just 1 minute, my kids are coming here. Так, София, я сейчас разговариваю, мне нельзя. Ладно? Язык не ко мне, пожалуйста. Yeah, just kids wake up today. All right, so here we go. Two types of waves. One wave is receding like that, and another wave is actually incoming. So this wave is an incoming here. So the wave is crashing over the rocks. Yeah, wave is so huge. In this picture, sometimes it's 3-5 meters or even more, sometimes reaching up to 6 meters with the swell wave. So here is, you just need to come and observe the wave. So don't, my advice, don't rush into the shooting right away, but pretty much just take the high ground, take the big rock, and just see what's happening. Because sometimes the wave is so big that if I stay a little bit closer, it just can wash you away into the ocean. It's very dangerous. Your safety comes first. And this place is located in Lombok Island. It's called
Pardon me, Daniel.
Bank. Yes.
Daniel, hello, it's Jim.
Yeah.
Just as I don't want to, I won't do this a lot, but when something comes up while an image is up, I want to let you know what the question is. Paulette is asking, how do you know which filter to use?
That's
Like,
a good question. So pretty much it's just a matter of experience, but how to realize that, yeah, at first. So it depends on your idea. Like I said, this picture, let's say, is 1/4 of a second. So most of the time at sunset and sunrise, I use freeze-stop filter to get 1/4 of a second, to freeze the water in this beautiful threads like waterfall. So then it's freeze-stop filter. Then another idea, if it's a long exposure like this, then you need to use either 6-stop filter or one for about 1 minute shutter speed. Yeah, about sunrise, sunset time, or maybe past the sunset. But it depends on the light. If it's not enough light, then you can use 6-stop filter for long exposures. If it's a bright day or if it's just a bright sunset, sunrise, before the sun is gone, let's say, then you use 10-stop filter for this kind of shots. The same story here. Yeah, in Gigi Hill, in Shark Steve Beach, it's 1 minute. The sunset here was quite bright, so I used a 10-stop filter. Yeah, so how do you know it? First, you have the idea. If you want to freeze the water in small, like smooth lines bending the rocks, then you use freeze-stop filter for 1/4 of a second. Sometimes actually past the sunset, you don't even need the filters, maybe just the polarizer filter. It also acts as an ND filter, as to stop and defilter pretty much. Yeah, depends how bright it is. And then if you want to use long exposures, so definitely it's 6 to 10-stop filter. Then you just experiment and you see, you put the 6-stop filter, you realize that the light is already too dark, so that's enough. Yeah, but if you realize that the light is still too bright, then basically you just use 10-stop filter. Another way how to do it properly, also how to calculate the proper shutter speed, is to use such applications like PhotoPills. So let me take my smartphone here. So I'll open PhotoPills. So there, if you're not familiar with this application, that's application for the smartphone. It's called PhotoPills. Yeah, and then they have such a tool called exposure, one of the tools. So the main tool for them, of course, is the map. And then on the map, you plan the sunset, sunrise time and directions. But with PhotoPills, so here you can check the equivalent settings. Yeah, so equivalent settings. You can input the filter that you're using, let's say 10-stop filter. Then you put the exposure that you have without filters. And then this application will give you the numbers. It will give you the number of what's happening with when you put the 10-stop filter. Let's say I can put the aperture f14, f16. These are the apertures that I shoot most of these pictures. F14, F16 with foregrounds, when I focus on the foreground itself. And then let's say if the shutter speed was 120, let's say 1/4 of a second, typical for the sunset. f14, 1/40 of the second, ISO 100. So I put 10-stop filter here in application, and same equivalent settings here. And then with 10-stop filter, you can see the shutter speed is 25 seconds. Yeah, so if, let's say, with normal exposure without any filters, you have 1/40 of a second, then you put 10-stop filter, the shutter speed, equivalent shutter speed will become 25 seconds. If that's not enough, you can add one more filter, let's say 3-stop filter or polarizer also on top of that. So let's say if you add polarizer, it will be pretty much like a 12-stop filter, let's say. So 1 minute, 40 seconds. So I'm not sure if it's reflected or not on my web camera, but definitely worth checking the application. It has not only the exposure, because there are many free applications also for exposure, but it also has the planner. So the planner, then you can put accordingly the geoposition here, you can put the date, and then you can see direction of the sunset, sunrise. So you can see direction of the Milky Way as well if you plan the night photography, but that's totally different story. For the seascape, I use photopills quite a lot to understand the time for the exposure when I put the certain filter on my lens. So I hope that answers the question. Yeah, guys, if you have any other questions, you can stop me like that. So I'm happy to answer. Yeah, so if you ever have anything, Jim can translate me, or I can pick up in the chat one of your questions. Right? Cool. And here is another picture from Lombok Island as well. That's actually a very expensive picture because this wave, it was a tsunami wave, unfortunately. So I realized that a little bit late because everything happens very fast with the waves, as you know. And after that, I ended up in the hospital for 7 days, for the entire week, unfortunately. So almost lost my life for this shot. Yeah, what happened here? In fact, we hiked about 1 hour along the shore to get to this place in Lombok Island. It's the southern coast of Lombok Island, so it's known for its big waves. But this morning was very calm. So in fact, it was so calm, nor even some reflections in the puddles on the rocks here. So we climbed down one of the rocks, quite high ground, maybe 5-6 meter tall rock. And then just out of nowhere, what's happening? The sea kind of started, the surface of the sea started to be like boiling. And then the whole ocean seemed to go down. And then just after that, the huge waves, maybe 5 or 6 waves, they start striking us. So the first wave, it just took me down from this like 5 meter tall rock. And there was no place to run because behind me, it was kind of rocky wall. Yeah, no place to hide. So the first wave take me and my friend, my guide that stay next to me. It's just local person, also very talented photographer, Jack. And the wave took us both down to the ground. So basically, I fall from the rock with all my equipment, my backpack, everything. It just fall down there. And the second, I would like after the first wave, I tried to escape, tried to climb the rocks. I had the shock already because I just fall on my back quite badly, but the first wave was gone. So I was running back to the high ground, and the second wave basically reached me and just throw me back here to the ocean. So what you see in front, the wave just dragged me inside this landscape. So it was totally nuts. I tried to survive, tried to get out. So basically, when I see the wave, how big it is, I thought it's okay. It's just all over. So it's like in the movies, you know, you see your life just flashing in front of you while you were actually flushed into the ocean. So it was terrible, but I managed to get out. What saved me? Actually, I tried to protect my head like that. So all the time, just the wave was crushing me from sharp rock to another. But I tried to stay conscious, protect my head. Because I do some surfing here in Indonesia, and That's one of the lessons we do on surfing, just how to protect your head and your body, so have this brace position when the wave is striking you. Yeah, unfortunately, of course, all equipment was gone, but I managed to survive. I managed to get out, just basically grabbing all the rocks. I lost all my fingerprints. All my fingerprints were gone. When I get out, basically, I didn't see anything except of blood. So the blood was everywhere, all over the body. And then my friend Jack, he also managed to get out. So also all bleeding, all with open cuts everywhere. My head was with cuts. So we just got a few stitches later. So we managed to get ourselves to the car, drive to the hospital. So in the hospital, they already put the bandages, they stitched the head. So basically, it was a lot of adrenaline pushing you to get out, but most essentially to stay consciousness, especially in the water. If the water takes you in, then most essentially you must stay consciousness. You must try to swim out. Yeah, I hope none of you will experience this, because it was totally terrible. So of course I lost all my cameras, all my lenses, even the drone in the backpack. Yeah, and some documents as well. But well, I managed to survive this, and well, just be careful next time. Yeah, always be careful with the waves. No matter of that, we checked later with my friends, and it was unusual tide. So what happened is actually the series of earthquakes that basically produced this kind of waves, produced tsunami waves. And it's not just the one wave, and it's not appearing at horizon like a huge wave. No, it's appearing out of nowhere, just in front of you, and it appears just in a few seconds. This is the thing. So you must be alerted. You must always have the clear ground to run away from the wave. Yeah, so this mistake was also that the place is closed with some wall behind me. So that was quite dangerous. So that's the idea. Just be careful here, plan the waves, always check if there is nothing happening, like no tsunamis, maybe have some application about tsunamis, tsunami alert or something like that. And if you see the water, the surface of the ocean start to be a bit strange, better to pack your equipment and just try to get to the high ground. And then if something bad already happening, if you're in the water, try to get the brace position and try basically to swim out, just fight for it. So anyway, we survived. I spent almost a week in the hospital because I barely can move after that, with just all the blood, all the stitches, and still doing the seascape anyway, just carefully. Yeah. So anyways, this was place number 3 for the seascape, but the place probably I will never return myself to shoot again. Nevertheless, in Lombok Island, there are a lot of beautiful places for the seascapes. And of course, talking about Bali, Indonesia, there are a few nice spots here also. You can come here for vacation and you can choose a few places, but not in Bali itself, but in the place that called Nusa Penida Island. So in Nusa Penida Island, there are a few cool spots. So I'm not sure if I have it in this selection, but I will try to find them here in my archives to show you. So Bali. I live in Bali myself, in the central part of Bali, in Ubud. So there are a few places like that, let's say. The traditional boats that you can shoot in the water, very calm landscape, also low tide. Yeah, beautiful traditional boats, always good choice. Just 20 minutes from my house, I can find this kind of boats. So this is one place. Another place is Nusa Penida Island. That's the famous Kilinkino T-Rex beach. Yeah, very beautiful at sunrise. Also, sunset is a bit crowded with people, but sunrise is also very quiet, very peaceful. And another place is called Atu, A-T-U-H, Atu Beach. So to beach is also in Nusa Penida, very beautiful, quiet place with a coral reef. So the coral reef is nice foreground here. So the background is this beautiful sharp rock. So this here, it was a long exposure for the clouds, almost 2 minutes of the shutter speed. Also used here a 10-stop filter. And beside that, I use quite often focus stacking. Yeah, so what is the focus stacking? It's when you focus on different points in landscape. So one spot is focused here on the coral reef, another point focusing on the rocks behind. Yeah, and then 2 or 3 spots actually I use for focus stacking. Normally it's the foreground, like the corals in the foreground, middle point somewhere just behind the corals, and then the third point of focusing is on the rocks on the background. So this is the idea of the focus stacking. Another shot is also from Kilinkin. So Kilinkin, it looks like some small small whale. Yeah, little whale. You can see the fins here, the flippers of the whale. Yeah, and a cool place also for the Milky Way for the night photography. So here is actually that's a genuine shot. Quite often here you can see the Milky Way just above the Kilinkin like a torch. Yeah, Bali is almost at the equator, so beautiful, perfect place for the night photography as well. Especially more remote islands like in Java, in Komodo, you can find really beautiful places for the night photography. So this was the place number 4 already, yeah? So we talked about Sumatra Gigi here, place number 1. The place number 2 was Savarna in Java. The place number 3, it was in Lombok. Some places like that, Sariguang, Tanjung Luar here. Luar is the name of this place. And the 4th place, the 4th spot, that's the Bali Nusa Penida. It's perfect area for the seascape photography. And then, of course, the place number 5, that's not really the seascape that I show you with all these dynamic waves and long exposures, but the place I love a lot, that's so-called Sumba dancing trees. So let me show you some photos from Sumba. Sumba Island, this is just an hour away of flight from Bali. And probably if you're familiar with my photography, you saw the images like that. Yes, these are mangrove trees, and these are very unusual mangrove trees. So let me open it up full screen. Very unusual mangrove trees because only in Sumba Island in Indonesia you can find them like that. If you know mangrove trees, they're more like bushes. Yes, so there is a big tree like that, just a big crona, so a lot of leaves on top, so like a big bush. But these mangrove trees, they're unusual. So they stand alone like that. And then they form these amazing compositions. Yeah, so you can pick up the single tree. It's very elegant, very simple shots, minimalistic shots. Oh, the single tree like that. Yeah, just with reflections only. Like this as well. So you see the big collection. So this is a bit more common mangrove tree. Yeah, this is like a little baobab tree. So a few more images with Milky Way, of course, it's really dark there. So Milky Way is amazing. So that's not the tree, definitely. That's Sumba people, Sumba riders. So here we go. So all of these compositions here, they taken in Sumba Island in Waingapu. So a short flight from Bali, as I mentioned, 1 hour flight, and then it's strictly low tide to get these pictures. Because what's happening in a low tide, you can see reflections like that. So sometimes there are huge areas of the seaweed, but also bigger areas of open water with reflections. So I put my camera very low, so almost on the water level, just slightly above the water level. So you have reflections, then you have the camera above the water like that. And then you have the beautiful Sumba dancing trees above. So that's a simple idea. So not much motion here, not much dynamic, very quiet place to be. And many different compositions. So the place itself, it's maybe 20, 30 trees at maximum. The trees are not that high. Yes, so let me see if I have some newer images with the person. Yeah, I have here. So the trees actually it's a little bit tricky image. Yeah, we put the person here behind the trees, but the trees, they have similar height as the person. Yeah, so maybe 1.5 meters, some trees up to 2 meters, some trees even smaller, just 1 meter elevation above the water level. It's another picture here with the person just to realize the scale. Yeah, so you literally can walk on the water in low tide. You can walk among the trees and just one step left, one step right, and you can see different compositions. All right, let's also check. If you have any questions, sometimes I will be checking the questions. Yeah. So yeah, good. So hope we can see now. Yeah, we'll of course make the maximum the full screen so you can see better the pictures. If you have questions, just feel free to ask them. So while I'm talking, I can always check the chat. Yeah, guys. So this is the sunset and Sumba trees. Also, just facing the sunset. This is a panorama, so you can see main group of the trees. Unfortunately, some of the trees, they died already because what happened, some local tourists, they start knowing about this place, they start coming, and then they come to make some selfies. So they basically just sit on the trees, they lean on the trees. Sometimes I see someone putting their backpack on the trees. Not photographers. Photographers, they normally know how to behave with environment, with nature, but local tourists, they need a bit of education. Yeah, and these trees were very fragile. So basically, they stay just on a quicksand, on a smooth sand. In the water, of course, if you lean on the tree, it eventually, the tide will come and it will take it away into the sea. Yes, a very fragile place. So hopefully it will stay like that because it's so unique. So in Indonesia, I haven't seen any of these places. So again, the reason I'm talking about this place, you can get a lot of images just for different compositions, single compositions just from one place. And it's definitely my favorite in Sumba Island in Indonesia. So a few shots. So any questions, guys, please ask. Yeah. So meanwhile, I can show you also some other spots. Yeah, I can see one question here. Have you taken any photos at Ujung Kulon National Park on the tip of West Java? No, I haven't been there yet. So if you have any suggestions for me about Indonesian landscape, please message me also on email or on Instagram in the messages. So I'm happy to explore new places. So I live in Bali, I live in Indonesia. And sometimes I go to these places like the Sumba Islands just for one sunset. So most of the time I actually make these pictures during my photo tours, during my workshops. So next year I still have one departure in August for Indonesia. So I had some trips in May and June, they're already full. So it's very popular recently. No wonder why, because you can get so many diverse photos here and there's beautiful resorts as well. Of course, not going to any of the huge wave places, but to more quiet places. But also I spend a lot of time exploring myself. So sometimes I go just for one sunset or one sunrise. So I'll stop sharing the screen. Yeah, so oops. Yep. So I stopped sharing the screen. So you can see me. Later we can return to the screen so I can show more of the seascapes as well. And the idea for me sometimes, yes?
It's Jim.
Yes,
How are
Jim.
you?
Good.
I wanted to just quickly ask you about our relationship. I know that USA Photo Workshops has just, pretty much started up the new organization that you're with. And I would like you to mention to people how they can reach out or find you, and what are some of the workshop opportunities you can have coming up in the near future. Or
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
basically tell people how USA Photo Workshops came to be.
Yeah, sure. I have actually great news apart from this webinar from my talk about Seascape. We just found a new company with my partners, with Yuri, with Chris, Queen, and we're doing a lot of tours in USA now and around the world. So not limiting just to US. And well, just check it out, usaPhotoWorkshops.com. We have a lot of destinations in US itself, and right now Chris is actually guiding some trips in US, in Badlands, in Utah as well. So check it out, please. It will be quite
By the
yeah.
By the way, Daniel, it's funny because poor Chris had a hike a ways to get a cell signal to reach out to you. So you owe her one. Chris Quinn is the person that introduced Daniel to us at Nisi, and she is a pretty remarkable photographer on her own, but she also is the I guess kind of the administrative backbone of the tour company, and has been a wonderful partner of ours for quite a while, and brought Daniel to us, which I'm very, very thankful for. So you definitely, if you're going to be doing traveling, or you have friends that are looking to travel and really get into some incredible photography, although please don't put them in life-threatening situations, Daniel, okay? We need to keep all the customers we can get. So now, Aaron Miller I'm gonna ask you two questions. First of all, Aaron Miller basically says, what Nisi system are you using? And you can also see that Ronald has a question about water, so maybe you can answer those too.
Yeah, absolutely. So my main lens for landscape photography, it's 1424 Nikon. So I use Nikon Z8 as my main camera right now. So actually after this accident in Lombok, when I was washed away, then I changed my camera. Yeah, I changed it from Z7, Nikon Z7 to Nikon Z8. So right now I'm using the system you see for 1424 millimeter lens. So I'm pretty happy with that, because with the new Z lens also I can use the smaller filters without the vignetting. So I use a square filters, 100 millimeter. That's enough. Yeah. So before I was using 850 with 150 millimeters, so larger system, more bulky, more expensive. So 100 for this lens is enough. I use quite a lot also 1430 millimeter lens. So you can check about my equipment in actually at danielkordan.com/about. So you can see also the list of equipment that I'm using. And for the filters, I use 3-stop, 6-stop, 10-stop filter, and polarizer. So this is my set. I use gradient filter as well. So some of the pictures I prefer to do in one shot without doing any bracketing, because as you know, it's a bit complicated if everything is moving. Yeah, if the wave is crashing, some trees are moving, it's really hard to do the bracketing. It's better to make it in one shot. That's why I also use the gradient filter. So this is my set for 1424 millimeter lens. Another question is how deep into water can you shoot without blur when using a filter? So it's a bit hard for me about the measurement in feet. I'll just tell you about measurement in meters. For seascapes like the Sumba trees, pretty much you need really shallow place, so maybe like 20-30 centimeters. Yeah, I don't know, like in inches, maybe just 20 inches maximum. So this is what you need for reflections. If the water become a bit more, maybe 1 meter, 2 meters high, then it's already not with reflections, I'd say, because it's always a bit of wind. Yeah, at this place, it's open ocean. It's very rarely it's super calm, and then it's calm just because it's very shallow and it's kind of protected also by some areas with seaweed. So this is, I hope that answers the question. If we're talking about the classical seascapes that I show from Java Island, from Sumatra Island, then for the classical seascapes, it actually doesn't matter how deep you are. Sometimes we stay up to the waist. I'd say the safe to stay up to the waist, not more, in the water, taking pictures. But then you need to be safe there. You need to mention the wave. Yeah, it depends on the place. So
Actually, I'm also monitoring your stream on YouTube, and there was a question from someone about, I mean, I already know the answer to this, but you're using circular filters or square filters. Actually, you had just mentioned that you're using 100 millimeter square filters, but maybe since the question's asked, from your perspective, what's the benefit of one versus the other, or are you strictly a square filter user? There you go.
So the main benefit for me for the square filters, that actually a few benefits, let's say, over the rounded filters, because with the square filter I can use the adapter easy. So basically I put Nissi adapters to all my lenses, and let's say, okay, I shoot the wide angle landscape on 1424, and then I see some distant rocks, like the shot I show you from Sumatra, from Gigi Hill. First I show you the wide landscape, and then I show you the distant landscape. So basically I change the lens and I just drop the same square filters from one lens to another. So very easy to drop the holder. Yeah, so basically you put the converter, the ring. Yeah, so first you put the ring on all the lenses, you get ready for the shooting. And then if you want to change the angle, if you want to change the lens, it's very easy to take the whole set of the filters and just drop them to another lens. So basically for the rounded filters, of course, you can also have the adapters, but it's always a pain for me. They always get stuck, and basically it's better to have the separate set of filters for the certain diameters of the lens, if we're talking about the rounded filters. And then another thing that I'm also using gradient filter quite often. So for the square filters, it's easy to use it. It's easy to control how deep you want the transition of the gradiated filters itself over the lens. So that's the answer. So first, there's convenience to interchanging the filters between lenses, because I prefer to use many different angles in my photography. So from one place, I try to maximize my output in terms of number of pictures, and I like to use different angles. I like to go into small details, also to do some abstracts, as well as the classical wide angle landscapes. I like to change the filters. And the second answer is I like to use gradient filter, which is very easy with the square filters to change and to find the proper line of transition of the filter. Transparency transition. Which gradient filter I use in particular? Raman, hello. I'm using four-stop soft gradient filter. So four-stop soft gradient, that's only one gradient filter I'm using. So yeah, hope that answers. Anything else, Jim, maybe from YouTube? Any other questions?
No, we're looking good. Now, we're kind of in a time warp here because of when we started, but the webinar, we kind of allocated about an hour to the webinar. Right now, we're about 10 minutes from the hour. Really don't mind, we can carry on, but what else do you have for us?
Cool. So I can just tease you with more images from Indonesia, I guess. Yeah, to show you
ahead.
some photos and stories behind them, right?
Let's give it about another 15 minutes and then we'll open it up for a few more questions and then we'll get going. We can start our day. You can start your day and I can end mine.
Sure, absolutely. Sounds good.
All right.
So let me share the screen again. So go to, yeah, desktop, go to my Indonesia archive. So here we go. So let me see if I have some left in the seascapes to show you. I think most of the places already show you. Seascapes in Sumatra, in Lombok, but I also want to show you a little bit about drone photography in Indonesia. It's also kind of seascapes, but seascapes from the air. So some aerial photography in Indonesia. So one of my most favorite places that I also take tours, it's Komodo Islands. So this is Padar Island in Komodo chain, the panorama, the classical view. So here we go. Beautiful place. In Komodo, most of the people, they actually move by boats. So they arrive to the village called Labuan Bajo by airplane, 1 hour from Denpasar, from Bali. And then they take the boats cruising over the islands. There are actually just dozens of beautiful islands like that. But this is my most favorite. It's called Padar Island. So we usually take the small Fenici, the classical boat with the sails like that. It's still not the red sails like we use in Greenland, but still very beautiful traditional boat. You stay on this boat for 2 or 3 nights, which is enough to explore most of the archipelago. So let's just show a few photos. There's a pink beach. It's very famous. The sand is really pink, so you can take it just like that in your hands, and it'll be really nice to walk around there. So that's actually it's not Komodo. That was from Broma, but this is from Komodo as well. So many beautiful islands, some peninsulas, just like that, some underwater coral reef as well. So for the classical seascape that I showed before, it's a bit hard place, I'd say, because it's too calm, too quiet. It's just coral reefs everywhere. It's good for diving. It's good for snorkeling there as well, and good for aerial photography. So, of course, if you come to Indonesia, pack your drone with you, and you'll have some amazing stuff from the air as well. So let me dig also in some other places like Lombok Island. That's a paradise for the seascape photography. So some places they're more remote. So let's say this shot was taken in a place called Jagok Dalam in Lombok Island. To this place, we needed to hike and we needed to camp on the beach as well. Yeah, so usually if I do the trips here, if I do the tours, I don't take people to the places like that. So just leaving these adventures to myself because they're quite tough. Yeah, it's hard to get here. To get to this place, you need to fly to Lombok. You need to drive like 3 or 4 hours from the airport, maybe a bit less, like 3 hours probably. And then hike about 3 or 4 hours just through the bushes, through the tunnels in the bushes, and to get some sunset, sunrise pictures here like that, you need to camp on the beach. So we just slept on the beach like that. We photographed some in the night, some nightscapes. We photographed sunrise as well. So this picture as well, it's 1/4 of the second shutter speed, taken on a wide angle lens on 14-24mm lens with 1/4 of the second. In some places I tried to include also the person. So here was one of the of our guides staying here on the rocks. So just to see, to realize how big are these rocks, how tall is the scale. Besides that, what's interesting in Lombok Island, besides the seascapes, it's the waterfalls. So some waterfalls are just like green walls. They're pretty spectacular. It's worth also talking about waterfalls because most of the cases also use filters here. For the waterfalls, let's say for this one, for Kembar waterfall in Lombok Island, I use freeze-stop ND filter and polarizer filter as well. So polarizer to minimize reflections from the leaves, from the rocks, yeah, just to have the beautiful green textures of the leaves. And freeze-stop ND filter I used to make the smooth lines of the water. Same story for the waterfalls. So probably from 1/4 second to 1 second, you get beautiful smooth lines, silver lines of the water. Yeah. Unlike the seascapes. Yeah. 1 second on the seascapes, most of the time you get very blurry water. Yeah. Unless it's very smooth, slow tide that going, let's say, over the rocks that you can use 1 second. Yeah. But here for the waterfalls, if the water flow is not so strong, you can use 1 second shutter speed. So this one was taken on 1 second. In fact, it's a panorama using freeze-stop ND filter. Next place, quite iconic place. It's, I think it's Kelep waterfall, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So here is the place. It's a very iconic place, another beautiful waterfall in Indonesia. So it's much easier to reach this place. It's just about 2 hours of driving to the north of Lombok Island, and then about 1 hour, maybe 40 minutes walking to the waterfall. Then it's just you're in the middle of the jungles in a beautiful canyon, and you have this beautiful double waterfall. So as you know, Bali is also a paradise for waterfall as well. It's absolutely spectacular waterfalls in Bali. That's the main target for my landscape photography here on this island where I live myself. That's still Lombok Island, just taken within the caves. I climbed inside a small cave, all wet. Actually, the good thing about Indonesia, because it's so nice and warm here, most of the time I just go shooting, just take only my backpack, take the tripod, a couple of lenses, filters, the drone, and this is it. So maybe a t-shirt to change, go with my slippers. I don't need any jackets. I don't need any suitcases with me. Just go like that. Only one small backpack with one camera, with a drone, 2 lenses, 14-24, 24-70. Most of the cases, I don't even bring the long lens with me if I know that I don't need it there. And the tripod. Yeah, I use Gitsa tripods myself, steady tripods for the seascape photography. That's another thing is quite essential for seascape because you need a steady tripod. I use a Gitsa systematic tripod. It's, I don't know, like 2 or 3 kilogram with a ball head. Yeah, but it's very steady. So you can always rely on that. And not just as a tripod, sometimes I use it as a walking stick to be more confident, to be more stable inside the water. Yeah, so essentially to have proper tripod for the seascape photography. Yeah, another place in Lombok Island that I highly recommend to go, that's Sembalun Mountain Ridge. It's the east part of Lombok. Beautiful greens, looks a bit like Hawaii, I'd say. Yeah, especially shots like that. This is a drone shot, so the drone shot from above, when you can see these beautiful green mountains like that. So this is one of the ridges here. On the left side of this picture in particular, there's a Rinjani volcano. It's one of the tallest volcanoes in Indonesia, 3,726 meters tall. I know exactly the number because I was there on the top, and it was very painful to get on the very top. So I needed 5-day hiking here, camping on the ridgeline, and then hiking for a sunrise to get the pictures like that. Yeah, so this is the panorama from the very top of Lombok Island, from Rinjani volcano, 3,700 meters. Looks a bit like Crater Lake in the US. Yeah, so it looks a bit similar, like a Wizard Island in the middle of the Crater Lake in US. But here also it's active So actually it's steaming, and well, it was definitely worth 5-day hiking. So some areas that look like Iceland as well, with some green mossy mountains, with some waterfalls like that. So this is a waterfall, one of the most beautiful waterfalls there. So in this green valley surrounded by fog, surrounded by green moss. It's a really
Daniel,
spectacular
you've
place.
got Daniel,
Yes.
you've got a couple of questions to catch up on.
Sure, yeah, let me check it out. All right, so next question is from Beth. Did you do this with 2 exposures to get the person crisp while you blurred the water? No, this picture was taken from Lombok. Yeah, this picture was taken, this one. Let me return back here. This is actually a single exposure, 1 exposure, because the water is just 1/4 of a second. So 1/4 of the second, if the person stays still, that's all right. So sometimes I ask my friends, my models that we hire for workshops to stay still, and even we able to do 1 or 2 seconds of the shutter speed with people staying still. By the waterfall, actually same story. So 1 second, no, I just ask the person, ask Chandra, my friend, to stay still like that, and then make it in 1 exposure. So it was 1 exposure for 1 second. So he stays still. Maybe it's worth also doing a few tries, a few pictures. So 1 picture can be blurry, another picture may be more sharp. Another question here is, what type of drone camera do you use? So the answer, I think, answered in the beginning of our conversation. I use Nikon Z8 as the main camera, and use 3 lenses mainly. It's 14-24. 70% of my shots taken with 14-24. I really love the wide angle for landscape, but still leaving some space for 24-70 and 70-200 lenses. So 24-70, you can get some details, you can get some distance shots, a bit like that. Yeah, some distance shots on 24-70. Yep. And then for the longer lens, I like to do some abstracts, some details. Let's say like this in the misty forest, some classical tonal perspective, some trees with a tonal perspective. So for this kind of shots, when I use just textures, some beautiful textures of the mountains, of the rocks. So for this shot, I use the longer lens, like 70-100. For the drone, I use Mavic 3 Pro at the moment. So I tried recently Air 2S, also quite a good drone as well with Mavic 3 Pro. Let's say if it's too bulky, too expensive, it's a good drone to use. But the drone is one of my main tools. So I just returned from 1 month scouting in Vietnam a few days ago. And I'd say 80% of shots, 70-80% of shots from Vietnam, they were taken with the drone. So that's incredible how drone actually expands our vision. So how many new angles we can find with the drone. And even I'm not talking just about some aerial views, even to get some better angles, just a little bit. You need just a little bit above, sometimes above the trees, above the people. And so I just wanted to show you a few photos from Vietnam. Yeah, not just Indonesia, but also a bit from Vietnam, like that. Let's say these pictures with people working in Mekong River Delta at the sunrise in the morning. So they sorting out the water lilies, they're collecting them, they actually eat them, and we tried them. We eat them in the hot pot. The traditional Asian hot pot is quite delicious, by the way. So how they cook it. But yeah, no matter of that, this picture is actually taken with a drone, just something like 6-8 meters above the models, above the people we we hired there to kind of recreate this traditional scene. They work anyway every morning, but we recreated this beautiful scene with different shapes of the lily flowers. Yeah, so this is about the drone. And the reason I also talk about the drone, that sometimes, in fact, I shoot long exposures with the drone. Yeah, let's say, yeah, with Vietnam, I wanted to show you this picture here. And I'm talking today not just about the seascape photography with filters, but also about the drone photography with filters. So here, for this particular picture, I used ND filter for my drone. So drones are so stable now that you can actually use even 1 second of the shutter speed from a flycam, yeah, from a flying camera. So sometimes I use even 1 second. If is no wind, if it's very still, I'd say. If it's wind, the drone is a little bit wobbly, so it's still drifting a bit, so you can get blurry shots. This shot is in particular, I took with 1/4 of a second. Same story, 1/4, the magical number. So hopefully you remember that. Yeah, and then I have this beautiful smooth lines of the water as well. So a few more pictures. This waterfall is in Vietnam. Yeah, it's not Indonesia, it's Vietnam. It's kind of next door to me. So let me also just talk a little bit about that. Because it's my recent trip, I was just very excited to scout Vietnam. Absolutely incredible country. So for sure, we'll be doing more trips there with the USA photo workshops with Chris as well. So keep an eye on that, guys. Yeah, same story. 1/4 of the second panorama. So really easy to do panos with the drone. Set up manual exposure, put ND filter. Again, this was with free stop ND filter. I use also ND filters for the drone with implemented polarizer. So you have polarizer plus ND filter just in one glass. Yeah, so here I used it for this picture. This is a pano 3x3, so it's so wide here, and well, also 1/4 of a second to make the smooth water with the drone. Was very calm, very quiet. Yeah, because sometimes if it's windy, of course, if it's like in some open areas, very windy, doesn't make sense. But for waterfalls, for water, you can experiment with your drone with long exposure. Yeah, the question is from Mike also. Do you do post-processing on the images? For sure, I do post-processing for the seascapes, as we talked about Indonesia. I do some wave blending for the seascapes. Sometimes, most of the time, I prefer to do in one exposure because wave blending, it takes a lot of time to do. Let's say to take 3 photos, like I explained in the beginning of the of our talk today. I take one picture with a wave on the foreground and another picture with the wave crashing over the rocks. And let's say the third picture might be just bracketing for the sky. Yeah, but no matter of that, the tripod, the camera, it stays in one position, and I'm not changing the focal lengths. So stay in one position, just different types of waves. Because sometimes the wave crashing, it's nice, and the wave bending over the rocks in the foreground is also nice. You want to bring them all together in one shot, and then you layer by layer masking them out. It's the whole different story about the post-processing, about editing. You can check my master classes as well. I have maybe Jim can send this later. Have a master class on post-processing at kordanmasterclass.com. Yeah, if you're interested in more for post-processing, it's pretty much 5 or 6 hour tutorial on multiple examples, from the seascapes to HDR panoramas to the portraits, a total just diversity of the images. So if you're interested in my workflow on post-processing, check out kordanmasterclass.com. Yeah, that's the idea. All right, maybe
are we okay with wrapping it up?
I think so. Yeah, just a few final words, guys. Please come visit Southeast Asia, in particular Indonesia. It's absolutely spectacular for landscapes. It's barely explored, in fact. So it opens a lot of opportunity to see, to explore. So I bet most of your friends, they never saw images like that from Indonesia. And well, it's just really nice to be here. It's kind of vacation that you combine with photography. So please check out USA Photo Workshops for details about upcoming trips to Indonesia. And of course, experiment with seascape photography, even if it's in US. There's plenty of seascape, long exposure places. Use filters to expand your creative vision for long exposure, for just uplifting your portfolio as well. And thanks a lot. Yeah, thanks a lot,
So
Jim,
sorry.
for inviting.
My one
Yes.
one question, I'm sure a lot of people would, well, is an obvious question, but the when you do a workshop, how many people are usually in your workshop at a time? How many do you like to travel around with?
Usually the good number is from 8 to 12. So I don't take with me more than 12 photographers to give a lot of space. And always we have 2 or 3 guides to help people.
Great. And I guess may as well ask, what do they run on average in US dollars?
In average, yeah, let's say if we're talking about Indonesia, Vietnam, or Japan, in 1 week I'm going to Japan as well. It's from, I'd say, from $6,000 to $8,000 for the 10-day trip. It's pretty much all inclusive. So just book your ticket, come here, and we'll take care of you.
That sounds like a gas. Hopefully, I can get a discount.
For sure. Lifetime for you. Yeah,
All
come
right.
visit, please.
Well, listen, I can't thank you enough. It was, yeah, your images are just incredible. And I've got to say, I've been, obviously, I've been aware of you for a long time, but with the relationship with Chris and with you now, I've been looking at all your photos from Vietnam and your videos as well. Incredible, Daniel. Absolutely incredible. It's it's wonderful. It's wonderful to see the images that you've done.
Thank you so much, Jim. Yeah, and again, sorry for the confusion with the time. Yeah,
We'll get
different world here.
it's that time of year, as I said. I think I said, well, I said it before you came on. See, I'm sitting in California and it's still daylight savings time. Andrew is in Sydney. He's gone to standard time. And but let's put it this way. I look forward to the next one, and we'll just make sure we're all on the same page.
Absolutely. Yeah, always happy to work with you and to talk about photography. That's my life, that's my passion. I can talk about it for hours. So
All right,
but
well,
yeah, get some sleep, get some rest. It's getting late in US. Yeah.
yeah. You take care, everyone. Thank you so much. We haven't done a webinar in a while. This was great. We'll try and get our schedule back up and running. We've got the thing is that with Nisi, we always have new things happening and new things coming on, and we're a pretty small team here, even between us and Australia. There's, we're not a big corporation, we're a small business, and but we definitely need to get on the webinar trail again. So please keep following us on Instagram and watch for our webinars. And Daniel, thanks again. Good night.
You're welcome. Yeah. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.